Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy daily start to this nice Friday morning here as we wrap up this week, a week of actual opportunity. A lot of new things being happening as we do look at the higher targets slowly being met that we've been having for the last month or so now. And this puts a lot of the higher term time frame perspective into picture. So I wanted to follow up on this particular video, talk about the next sort of 5 to maybe 8 day spread here as to what to expect, and then we'll come back down for the lower term time frames just to of course come at it with a more well-rounded picture. Other than that, I want to once again give the highlight to the buyback promotion going on. They got 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. And you can also get the Jewelite for free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. All right, sweet. Let's just jump right on into it. And being that it is Friday, of course, it is the last day of the trading week for CME. And in this case, we can see that the weekly Gaussian channel, which we've been following for quite some time now, is once again getting very close to the top side of the channel here. So why is this relevant? What does it mean? Well, let me first go through the whole rigmarole. And basically it is this. Anytime that we've seen the Gaussian channel turn red, Bitcoin trade below it and then reclaim it. We've seen a nice interplay where once Bitcoin reclaims the mean band, which is this one that my cursor is currently on right now, it's gotten a free ride to the top side of the Gaussian channel. And actually in all prior cases, it's even broken out of the top side of the Gaussian channel as well. But in this case, we're at that particular moment where it is, getting that free ride to the top side. And of course, where is that current number coming in around at the weekly time frame, which again is closing today? Well, just below $32,000. So about $1,000 higher than where we're currently at right now. And of course, this is actually not just for the weekly, but it's also going to be for the 5 day. Obviously, the 5 day is not closing date, it closes in the next 5 day period, but you can kind of work that into the overall, picture for the next 5 to maybe 8, maybe 10 days, let's say, which is a little bit slightly higher. So giving us a bit of a range for the more immediate term as far as, looking for this rally to continue towards these sort of relevant regions, which on this particular time frame, it's actually interesting because it's a little bit higher than the weekly, which is 32,500. So somewhere between about, upper 31s to about 32.5 or so on CME, and then I'll probably be looking for a bit of a short-term pullback from that. Now, here's the thing. As we've gone over, which on spot price action, which I just think has a better, more long-term history here, we've seen that every time that Bitcoin's closed above the mean band on the 5 day and the weekly time frame of the Gaussian channel, it's not just gotten that free ride to the top side of the Gaussian channel, but it's actually busted on through for some pretty significant gains afterwards. Not necessarily always new all-time highs, and in this particular case, I don't think that that's what we're dealing with. But even in the case of 2019, as you can see over here, this was some pretty fucking impressive busting action, dare I say. Going all the way from the tops of the Gaussian channel, about 6,000, a little bit above 6,000, all the way up to a high of just under $14,000. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be that crazy of a move, but generally speaking, over the full history of time, you can see very clearly right here that anytime that we've seen that, yes, things have moved up for a significantly new high on that rally, and then actually very soon after that, relatively soon after that, do come crashing down like pretty fucking significantly. And when I say pretty significantly, I mean somewhere to the tune of like 20 to 30%. So I'm going to start to talk about that more and more now, because that is becoming more and more relevant. If that is going to happen, I do think that it does occur somewhere in May. Somewhere in May is probably likely, maybe around the midpoint of May. But ultimately, right now, we're at that first sort of junction where Bitcoin is, yes, about to test the tops of the Gaussian channel. Probably look for, a relatively short-term pullback right there. Maybe likely continuation for one more run higher. In fact, we can actually go ahead and see what the past history has done with this. Now, the problem with this particular one is that there's not that much history to really be going off of. There's 4 prior iterations, so it ain't much, but it's the best that we can do, obviously. And in this case, anytime that we've seen the 5 day time frame actually close above the top side of the Gaussian channel on spot price action, so I'm kind of mixing around the charts here, but this one just has more history, so that's why I'm using in this particular case. There's been 4 prior times that we've seen this happen, and Bitcoin has gone on for an average run of about 47%. Over the course of about 21 days with a standard deviation of 12. So kind of a lot of variance right there with an average return of about, 47%. Actually, we already went over that with a standard deviation of about 17.25. So going back into it right here, that already happened on the 5 day on spot. And so from that price point to where we're at right now has been about almost a 20% run, which is good, which is significant. But, that would obviously be certainly on the lower end of the actual average. If we go towards the actual average, about 40%, that would put Bitcoin at the upper 30s, the upper $30,000 territory, I should say. Yeah, about 47%. And what do you know? If we actually draw an inverted fib here, that would be directly around where the 618 Fibonacci retracement is, on a bearish retracement, I should say. But that would kind of be an obvious area for, a major top if Bitcoin did get there. Of course, the 0.5 along the way is going to be a major area of interest as well. Guess where it is? 32,300. That sounds oddly familiar to what we were just looking at on CME as far as the top side of the Gaussian channel. So you're seeing how all these things kind of work with each other, meaning that if Bitcoin does start to reclaim that region, then yeah, I do suppose that a legitimate target maybe into like May would be 39,000 bucks. But that would really be where I'd start to look for this rally to come to a great halt, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. English, not so good at right now. Didn't get enough sleep yet again, but at that point, that's where to really be looking for the potential for that next 20 to 30% pullback crash, whatever the hell you want to call it, as typically on average, after that next major high has been met, it's been about 50 days after that for a pretty nasty pullback. I think I've just kind of eyeballed it before, but somewhere between about 20 to 30%. So, if Bitcoin were to get to a number like this, like 38, so I'm getting like way ahead of myself right now. 30% pullback from there puts Bitcoin back at around 26,000 bucks, which I think would be very reasonable to see something like that over the summer, maybe. Anyways, yes, we've gone through that. We can once again check in on the volatility versus stochastic momentum chart over here. Let's see, we're about 7 minutes into this video right now. Just want to check up on it. Of course, what I'm looking at is extreme lows on volatility, then extreme lows on volatility, which I define as below 10 percentile or more on the BBWP indicator. The expansion phase that naturally follows after that has led to an average move of about 20%, and the direction of the stochastic oscillator over here has had a high correlation to the direction of price action during that volatility expansion. And in this case, obviously this worked yet again because we're getting volatility expansion from the extreme lows right here. And the daily stochastic oscillator is pointed the upside, and Bitcoin, what do you know, went all the way from about 27,500 to where we're at right now at just under 31,000 bucks. So checking in on the stats over here. Let me just bring it up. Here we go. For the long side, over the past 5 years, have been 14 prior iterations. 12 of those 14 did work out in the same direction as the stochastic oscillator, so very high hit rate. Took about 10 days on average with a standard deviation of almost 3. So, somewhere around like 10 days to basically 2 weeks is where we do typically look for this one to play out from the actual setup officially firing off, which happened over here. So to put that in perspective, we're on day number 5 right now. So on average, maybe another 5 days. On the upper end, maybe another like 8 days. So that would put us into when? That would put us into basically the last couple weeks of this month of April. So fair enough. And then, of course, the signal or the setup is essentially active, especially as long as the daily stochastic oscillator remains pointed to the upside, which has been giving us a general upside bias for the past, since this one fired off, which was on Sunday. And that remains now to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 29,600. So you've seen this number slowly move up now. Yesterday and the day prior than that, it was 29,000 bucks. Now it's 29,600. That is to say that as long as Bitcoin is closing above that number on a daily closing basis, still generally looking to the upside here. And looking at the overall numbers just from that particular setup given, what's 20% on top of that price action, that put Bitcoin actually a little bit higher than what let me do this properly. Okay, didn't do that right. 20% puts you where? Yeah, at about 33,000 bucks. So that'd definitely be on the upper end. 15% puts you, just below 32, which again, we do see come up quite often here now. So those numbers are very likely going to be relevant if and when Bitcoin does get there. Now, going down to the HPDR indicator, we're also watching the 12-hour time frame as well. We're looking at the median on the HPDR indicator as kind of a warning signal of a nice breakout if Bitcoin closed above, which was 30,250, which happened, or 30,300, sorry, which did happen last night actually. And so looking at this right here, as volatility does look like it is actually still expanding right now, I'd be looking somewhere around the top side of the blue zone here, which is, guess where? 31.8 comes up yet again. So generally speaking, probably in the next period here, or sorry, not the next period for the 12 12-hour time frame, but then this next like 5-day period, probably looking somewhere around there. 31.8 on the upper end, maybe 33, but at that point, somewhere between these two numbers, I'd be looking for a relatively short-term pullback, which then leads into continuation, and then that's the one where it's like, all right, time to let this market come down a bit. As we've already seen more than 2x move off the lows, like pretty fucking good. Like let's be reasonable here. Let's be reasonable people here. It's been pretty damn good. Anyways, no, I need my fucking altcoins to go 100x so I can pay my rent today. It's like, all right, great. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. We went over invalidations, 29.6 on a daily. Lower term time frames like a 4 hour. Should we even reference that? No, 29.6 fine. All right, cool. Yeah, that's where I want to be leaving things off for today. I need to go get to boxing practice because I've been having a lot of fun doing that. And with that said, I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.